They go talk to the refugees. They get a counsel and say, what do you need?
Yes.
How do we help? And there's not a single woman in the room.
Wow.
How do you know what they need if they're not there?
Hello, this is Ria S for Beyond 75th. Today I'm with Ms. Kim Howell, the Communications Manager at the Women's Refugee Commission. Can you tell me a little bit about the Women's Refugee Commission?
The commission was founded 25 years ago to improve the lives and protect the rights of refugee women and children and youth. So basically what was happening is that people were traveling into these refugee camps. This is during the late 80s, 1989 is when it was founded. There were refugee crises going on in Ethiopia and the eastern horn of Africa. There was huge famine, there's conflict in different places. And so a couple of people who were with the International Rescue Committee, who was our parent organization, were traveling and looking at this and saying, you know, everything can always be improved, but the system is organically working to address the rights of most refugees.
Yes.
But not women and not children. It became a really fundamental problem, and the role of women in a lot of these societies, they're protected as long as the society is whole, or relatively protected. But once conflict comes in, their society is ripped to pieces.
Yes.
And everyone's at more risk, but especially women, especially children. So they have needs that are hugely increased at this point, and no one's listening.
Yes.
And there's discrimination that you see on a general basis becomes worse, and so it wasn't being addressed. And so not only were the problems worse, but no one was looking for the solutions. And so a couple of women came in the late 80s and said, this is unacceptable. We need to found the Women's Refugee Commission within the International Rescue Committee, the WRC, to research these needs. Nobody even knows what they are. Women were just nowhere on the map in the refugee crisis. So it started out with research. It started out with, what are we doing about reproductive health?
Yes.
What do these women need, and should we just ask them? And so it started out just by asking and listening.
And for the people on the field, what sort of barriers do they face? Has the WRC ever faced problems with any governments or any sort of groups of people?
One of our founders was a woman named Liv Ullmann. She's a Scandinavian actress, and she likes to tell a story. I think she actually told it at the luncheon.
I remember.
About how they were let into a refugee camp because they were just women.
Yes.
They were just these women who...
Nothing important.
Nothing could happen. Like, they're just, on a, wishy-washy mission. They'll be fine. They went in there, they did fantastic research, they got out, and then they just shouted about it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were barred from refugee camps. Because the government all of a sudden was like, whoa, we actually didn't want anybody to know that. Not our government, but the foreign government.
Which government was it?
I believe that was the Hong Kong refugee crisis. I can't quite remember, but I believe so. And she is so proud of that, because she says we were doing something right.
So how does the Women's Refugee Commission appeal to the younger generation?
So one thing that's really wonderful about the younger generation, and normally when I think of the younger generation I include myself in that, but that's not this context. But one thing that is really remarkable is that this generation is really borderless.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to more young people, especially in this city, who have traveled in a way that I never did when I was young. There's opportunities to understand, and this lack of us versus them.
Yes.
This is my family, we live here, we're originally from here, and I have friends from there, and it's become much more global. And there's so much potential there, because refugees, a lot of the problems are built in just conflicts and crises that are solvable when you take a global view.
Mm-hmm.
When you stop dividing people into groups, these problems can start healing.
Yes.
And so taking that increasing viewpoint of, why are we dividing into groups?
Mm-hmm.
What's your, I'm from here, they're from there, what's your point? Is one of I think, the most impactful trait of the younger generation.